friends, how are you today? The topic of today is the best makeup under $5. So we're not just kind of trying it out and seeing how it works. It is makeup that I really love that comes under the $5 mark. And I did a video on this topic, I guess a year-ish ago, and it's funny how much has changed. It's like, where's Relove by Revolution in the drugstore? Why have the prices changed on a few of these things? The makeup landscape is truly always changing, so I think it's good to have this information. And when you're buying makeup, maybe you're buying multiple things, that price does add up. So as drugstore prices continue to creep higher and higher, I want to continue to challenge myself to do this video. And one might say, well, what about just Dollar Tree makeup? Because obviously that's $1.25 and under the $5 mark. And yes, that is obvious. And I have recently done a video where I shared my tried and tested favorite makeup from Dollar Tree, put it all together in a look. All that info is there if that's a place you want to shop for makeup. But what I'm trying to do in this video is sort of sort through the haze of drugstore prices and mainstream brands and dig down into those things that do still fall under $5. It's not really a challenge to figure that out at Dollar Tree, but like I said, if that's what you want and that's your key price point, I will link to that video below where I shared tried and true favorites. But here we're talking stuff that's sold at Walmart, at Target, at Ulta, other drugstores as well. What can you still find that is under $5? I'm going to put together a full face of stuff that's actually really good. Now here's what's really funny. Primer. When you start looking for a primer that's under $5, it's one of the hardest things to find. There might be an LA Colors primer here or there. It's like, in the scheme of things, one of the newer products to makeup, and a lot of them are well over $5. So I don't have a primer in this video, and I think that's okay, but I do have a foundation, and it's the LA Colors Truly Matte Foundation. So this says long wearing high pigment foundation. You might raise your eyebrow at this and say, I don't know about LA Colors, and well, LA Colors is sold in Walmart. They do have a number of legitimately good things, and I have enjoyed this foundation. It wears very well. It does not look too thick and heavy. One direction I could have gone would have been the Rimmel Stay Matte, which is that kind of mousse-like foundation that I think is highly workable for a lot of people, but not everyone. This one is a little more universally workable. I do love pairing it if you have a glowy primer on hand. It looks really pretty paired with that, but today I'm going to show you that it can work well even without any certain primer. I've just got my skin prep, my skincare on. I've got a pump of it and I'm going to dot it around on my skin. And did I say I'm the shade Natural in this? But this one comes in at $4.48. Since this shade can look sometimes borderline light on me, I've mixed it with like both glowy and bronzy primers, and it does look really good that way if you have that type of product. I'm gonna blend it in with my little sponge. I wanted to try my other sponge in my Profusion set. It came with a bigger one that I used in the video last week, and so now I have saturated the smaller one, which still seems plenty big, and I do like this size. Yeah, and just tap it in. The consistency of this foundation is not ultra liquidy. Like when I pump it out, it's not slipping off my finger, but it's not thick either. And if you're ever intimidated by the matte description on a foundation, a lot of times a dampened sponge is going to be something that helps that foundation look more natural on your skin. But I like this little sponge. Look how easily that blended in. I'm not looking too thick and heavy. I'm really not looking all that matte. To me, this feels more like a natural finish, medium coverage foundation, particularly when you're blending it out with a sponge. Now for concealer, we're going to use one that you've seen me use a lot on my channel. It's Wet n Wild Incognito Concealer. I wear it in the shade Light Beige. This is a repurchase product for me. I love it. I think it works really well. The only thing is I might use a little bit more of this compared to, say, e.l.f. Camo Concealer in the regular version. I just feel like with a tiny bit more in application, it really gets me to the same coverage level as a lot of the concealer big dogs out there, you know? LA Colors has a concealer as well, but I would have to say this one would be my favorite under $5. And there's a lot of makeup, a lot of really good makeup, I want to make sure I say this, that hovers between $5 and $10 still in the drugstore from brands like Rimmel, Hard Candy, Wet n Wild. If you're willing to go a little higher, you open yourself to even more options. Not everything's going over 10 these days, so just know that. But the challenge today is to stay under 5, and we're gonna do it. I just went ahead and blended that concealer with my sponge, and I think it looks great. Now let's talk powder. Here's another reason why updated information is necessary. What's going on with Rimmel Stay Matte? You get on Walmart's website, you can't find it anymore. Like, what? What's happening here? I can find it on Amazon, but it's not $5. It's not the $3 and change that I used to buy it for at Walmart. It's now like $7.99 or something. Great powder still, but are you finding it in person places? Are you finding it in Walgreens perhaps? I could just always count on that price at Walmart, and now it's like I can't even find it when I search it. When I just flat out Google it, it's telling me a specific location near me where I can find it for $3.97. But if I wanted to just order it online, like link to it so anybody could buy it, that's not an option. And then the Walgreens price is $5.99 for this. So unfortunately, Rimmel Stay Matte will not be part of this video. There are a couple of powders that are falling under 5 that I was able to find. One is this e.l.f. Prime and Stay, which is an okay powder, but it looks more obvious on the skin. And another one that actually I was playing with a little bit yesterday, and I think it's pretty decent. It's from Essence, and it's called Brighten Up Banana Powder, but it's really not deeply banana, if you know what I mean. It's just looking kind of like a little translucent pressed powder. So this sells for $4.97. So just under the mark, but under the mark. But that'll do for us today. I'm going to try a little application with my Triangle Powder Puff just to do some gentle under eye setting with this. Essence is a really good brand, and they do have a lot of things that will fall under 5. It's like, that's the brand that's going to be your option for that if you're in Ulta. Okay, so I've tapped it around gently. I'm going to take my little Morphe under eye bullet brush. I really don't believe I have any excess on my skin, but I'm going to blend it around a little more. See if I truly feel set. I don't feel super set. It's a very firmly pressed powder. It's actually behaving much like Rimmel Stay Matte, perhaps even firmer than that, and showing even less color on your skin. But it sure is good for not looking overly powdery, because now I do feel like I'm pretty well set and I don't look thick or cakey whatsoever. Next up, we're getting into my Top Dog bronzer. If I could only pick one bronzer from the drugstore, you know I love my Wet n Wild Wet Shady Beaches. Another great option is the Rimmel Natural Bronzer, but I feel like Wet Shady Beaches is just a little deeper and you have a little more range with it. My lid has broken off, but that's okay. I've had this one for a while, but I'm so glad they're still selling it. I'm gonna use my angled brush from Sephora here and just get it on. It's really nicely pigmented. Like, I hope Wet n Wild never gets rid of this. Somebody was worried Wet n Wild was getting rid of the Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator, and I haven't really seen evidence of that yet. However, if they do, if that would happen, they do have their Bare Focus Niacinamide Skin Tint, which behaves very similarly to the Wet n Wild Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator, in my experience anyway. We're getting a little contour going with this, and this is coming up at $4.47 at Walmart. And I will link to everything I use below so you can find that price that I'm referencing, because not everything is sold for the same price everywhere. You might find something with a price that qualifies for this video at Walmart, but then you look it up somewhere else and it's like, oh, Walgreens is selling this thing for $2 more. Highly possible. But then you might get a BOGO deal at Walgreens and it's like, well, maybe it was worth it. I don't know. Just depends. One thing's for sure, we're getting you in the ballpark of some of the most affordable makeup in the drugstore from mainstream drugstore brands. I'm just building it gently. I don't want to go too crazy with my bronzer today. Okay, feeling great about that. Tried and true makeup staple. Next up for blush, another no-fail hit from the drugstore. It's Wet n Wild again. It's their Color Icon blush, selling for $3.28. These little blushes are awesome. The range, generally speaking, is pretty muted. You're getting this shade called Mellow Wine. That's the one I'm going to use today. It's probably the most vibrant. They do a cooler pink that isn't too crazy bright, you know what I mean? It's not looking like bubble gummy, but they've got that Pinch Me Pink, and they've got Naked Brown, which is just an absolutely beautiful, earthy, ever so slightly rosy tan blush that's so pretty, but I'm gonna use Mellow Wine today. You're gonna notice here, I'm not swishing my brush around. I'm getting adequate pigment with one little dip in, and this is gonna go right here on my cheeks. Always love Mellow Line. Like if you're just looking for a great powder blush, this is where it's at. You're gonna find a lot of newer liquid blushes come out that are definitely gonna exceed the price tag on this video, but when you see the result you can get with Mellow Line, it's like, did you need to do anything different? No, she's perfect. Always easily blendable, matte flawlessness on the skin, can't miss. The amount of times I've worn that blush also with the What Shady Beaches bronzer, so many times. Next we're going to Essence for a beautiful highlighter. This is $4.97 and it's the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. And an interesting thing too is Walmart is now selling Essence, at least online. I don't know if some of you are seeing it in your stores already. It's a fairly new thing that they're now doing Essence. Be My Highlight, a beautiful little actually baked highlighter here. This is definitely the lane I like to be in with a highlight. I'm going to take my Real Techniques setting brush into that, tap off a little excess there, and just go over the cheek. Many of you guys know about this one. She's been around for a while, but that level of highlight is probably what a lot of people really are after. It's not too much. It is somewhat buildable actually, but it's never overboard and it doesn't accentuate any problem areas. It really just lifts and brightens. It's like Laura Geller's Baked French Vanilla plus a little more sheen. And look, our face can really use that right now because we've put on matte foundation, matte bronzer and blush. And look friends, when I told you it was possible, nothing over $5. Truly, this is not just passing the test, this is looking great. Next up, we've got brows. And we have the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil. That's coming in at $4 and they have a waterproof version as well. I wonder, is the waterproof under that price too? It's currently not my favorite shape for a brow pencil because I've really gotten into the super duper skinny ones, but nonetheless it can get the job done and it is a good product. I'm just price checking that. It looks like the waterproof is $5 and the regular is $4, so we're just going to use the regular one. I have it in neutral brown. What it is a retractable brow pencil that's not as skinny as like Brow Wiz, the traditional skinny brow pencil size. And a lot of brands are making that, and it's obviously therefore larger than the nano size of pencil, but still she can get the job done. For a long time this was a favorite of mine. I just kind of morphed into enjoying the skinny ones more and feeling like the skinny ones could directly hit any little tiny gaps in my brow a little bit quicker. But can this still do it? Yeah, if I lost everything and I was like, okay, I gotta go to the store, I gotta replenish some stuff, and I didn't want to walk away spending $8, $9, $10 on a brow pencil, I could definitely go for this. It works just fine and the color is really good in my brows too, this neutral brown. Not too warm at all. It's got a spoolie on the other end, so that can help you a little bit if you feel like, oh, I'm a little carried away with this slightly thicker pencil. The process took me a little longer, but it's nothing I can't handle, you know? And for brow gel, you know what guys? This is not fancy, but it's Wet n Wild Clear Brow Gel and it's gonna come in at $2.28. So I'm going for that. My favorite would be the Maybelline Brow Fast Sculpt, but guess what? That's $8.98 at Walmart. So we can just use a little bit of gel, or you know what you could do if you were really in a pinch, you could just spray a bare spoolie with some hairspray and run through your brows. Next up, we've got eye primer. Definitely not a step I would ever skip if I intended to put on some eyeshadow. So we've got to find an eye primer that's under $5. That's going to be the Wet n Wild Mega Last. I've used a lot of the Milani and the e.l.f. lately. I have used a lot of this once upon a time, and then I thought, maybe is the consistency changing in my tube? I'm not sure. But she's squeezing out like she should right now, and it's another good option. This is a very actually well-loved eye primer in the drugstore beauty community, I feel. I'm gonna smooth that on. It has a pretty similar feel to the Milani, maybe a little bit thicker. Like it feels the same when I lay it down, and then as I start to really blend it out and it kind of becomes one with my skin, it feels a little thicker. But no matter the eye primer you're using, just keep it confined to a small amount. It does not take a lot. And then for eyeshadow, we do have some options here. Okay, we've got some drugstore eyeshadows coming in under $5. The one that I'm choosing. It's from the Profusion line, and it's called their little cozy palette. And I choose this one because I think this would make the most people who are like diehard, high-end, or higher priced at the drugstore type of people might try this and be like, wow, I am absolutely shocked at the way that feels. Like they would have to put their finger in and think, wow, why am I spending any more for products like this? Like this absolutely is 100% awesome. Also, I wanted to use it because it was one of the ones I mentioned in my last video for like rediscovering my little eye palettes and stuff. Using more of Quads Trios mini palettes, this was one of those that I wanted to be using more of. So we're gonna hop into this today. I'm gonna go into this shade right here, this matte. So it's all mattes, and then you've got that one spotlighting shimmer. And I'm just gonna apply that to my crease. It's so smooth and nice. Not only am I going in my crease, but I'm hitting a little above the crease too. And it's just gonna give that natural look that I think a lot of people are after. Natural every day, but you've got that room for a little glitz if you want it. I was surprised to see Walking on Eggshells from Wet n Wild actually coming up in my search just over $5 on Walmart. Thought that was odd. You can get into e.l.f. bite-sized quads for $4. There are some options out there for sure if you want to spend minimally on eyeshadow, but this is really hard to beat. These textures are incredible. And then I'm going to go to this next shade, this kind of buttery one right beside what I just used. Get a little bit of that. Makes a great little kind of transitioning out of your darker shade type of color. The gradient here is just very easy to work with. You see that? It just smooths and makes it all make sense. And then I've got a cream right here that I can use. Now you may notice they're soft, and I am kicking off a little bit of excess, tapping off I should say. Look how smooth and easy. Let's touch into that darkest one now, so you can see that in action. It's the deepest one in the palette, but it's not overwhelmingly dark like as part of your look if you're wanting to keep things fairly light. So user-friendly. And this does come in different shades, by the way. There's a pretty green one I'm kind of interested in. But as far as a basic everyday essential goes, I think this has got to be it. Next up, I'm going to go to that buttery one right there and let that come over the inner part of my lid and meet up nice and smooth like with the darker brown. Got a little more on my brush on that eye. Bella is on a 3-day streak of cheer practices. Typically they practice once a week for a really long practice, but what's happened is they've got some high school girls on her team. And I guess, I don't know if this is a state of Illinois rule, but while they're competing with their school squads in their competition season, they cannot also take part in an all-star practice. So it's kind of like the team has just really gotten together because all the practices leading up to this point throughout the winter have been, okay, somebody filling in for somebody else so this stunt group can practice and this and that, and now it's like, okay, the gang's all together and they're packing in some practices so they can be ready for their first competition at the start of March. Some of the other squads in the gym have already gone ahead and competed because they've been ready to, because they haven't had high schoolers on their team that they've been waiting for. But when I was picking her up yesterday from practice and I saw them marking through everything, this is the most jam-packed, athletic, just really super entertaining routine that I've seen her take part in. So my eye looks basically put together here, but the last thing I would do is take some of this. I didn't work in the shimmer. Did anybody want to see the shimmer today? As though I can get that response right now. Look, smudgy, soft. That shade is so perfect on the lower lash line. And given the high pigment, it does cling on pretty good, you know? What I could do is just take a little bit of this. This feels like the texture of a ColourPop Super Shock shadow. We could just put a little there on the center of the lid. But I'm kind of glad that it is that way because then it's not flaking all over your face, right? The shimmer is suspended in a little bit of almost creaminess, and therefore you have more control when it's on your skin. Okay, I've put it on and then I'm kind of like semi-blending out the edges. I am certainly spotlighted there on the center of my lid. Next up, from Profusion. You want a good eyeliner? Look to Profusion, and it's the Seamless Strokes Precision Gel Liner. I have it in Dark Roast, which is a super dark black-brown looking color. It's so precise. It's like you're using a little skinny brow pencil. This probably could have been brows, actually. This goes on with such ease and hugs in so close to that upper lash line. Like if you just want the defined darkness of a lined upper lash line, but you don't want it to really look like eyeliner, this is so good. But you could create a thick line out of it too if you wanted to, don't get me wrong. But look at that perfect little instantly created line there. I love it. If I'm not feeling like doing a lazy liner, smudgy type of moment with my lash line, this is a go-to. And it's definitely going to be a go-to at $3.97 for this type of video. But some of you might be saying, wait, how does Belle have high schoolers on her team if she's only in 5th grade? And basically the classification for her team is junior, not youth or mini or whatever. So that classification allows for that age of kid, you know, almost junior high age, and then also a high schooler could be on there too. But there we are with our eyeliner on. That takes me straight into a sip of coffee. And then mascara, which I love that we can count on Essence to keep their mascara prices at under $5 for their Lash Princess range. So I love the False Lash Effect one. That's the one that has like an aqua colored, like greenish detailing here. And the other one I love from that range is the Sculpted Volume. Years ago, I was talking about how this reminds me a lot of It Cosmetics Superhero, actually. But those would be my top 2 from this Lash Princess range. And I've tried all of them by now, I believe. Not a big fan of the primer that they have in this range. I feel like it can just kind of drop your curl. At least for my lashes, it's too weighty. The worst thing is when you're putting that primer on and you're expecting something good out of it, and then you realize, oh, this just basically undid the curl I just put in. But it's really not necessary here. I think, you know, this mascara gives me enough bulk and length. The brush is just a little different looking. It's got a gentle curve. It's got a little taper toward the tip. See that? So I'm going to go ahead and apply this. And it just gives me immediate, really good length and thickness. Like, look at that. Boom. I'm not going to put this on my lower lash line today, just because this is not a tubing mascara and the e.l.f. does not qualify for this video. Exactly how expensive is the e.l.f.? Can she look something up while curling her lashes? Can she read while she's curling her lashes? $8 is the price on lash extender. So nope, that's not going to qualify in this video. Like I said, there's some really great gems falling between $5 and $10. But I'm just here to say that if you really are interested in keeping it under $5, it's totally doable. And I know it can be crazy. You know, you're watching somebody do a full face of drugstore makeup, and then when it gets right down to it, you start looking at prices, and it's like, okay, well, the primer was $12, the foundation was $13, the eye palette they used was $20. When it's all said and done, it's not feeling real drugstore anymore. But technically, it's like they were using the brands on the drugstore side of Ulta. I've been there myself. The thickness with this, it's a real gem. The False Lash Effect would be the well-known popular one, and popular for good reason, but this one is worthy of just as much hype, if not more. However, I did get some on my eyelids, so I'm gonna let that like dry and flake it away. Okay guys, lip combo time. Time for some of the craziest value in this video. For a lip liner, I realized that Catrice's plumping lip liner is selling for $4 on their website, and this is my favorite. These are up there with Revlon Color Stay lip liners for me as a long-wearing, excellent drugstore lip liner option. They don't really plump. Like, it's not like Too Faced lip injection lip liners where you put them on and you're like, oh, this is stinging now. I don't feel any of that. What I just get is good, solid pigment, like a Revlon Color Stay, and staying power that's really adhering to the lips. So just a heads up that those are out there. I love this one, this kind of spicy colored one called Go All Out. I also love Cheers to Life for more of a mauve color. But as for this video, oh, did I just blink too hard and get mascara right there. Awesome, Anne. But as for this video, I think I'm just gonna stay LA Colors with this because this LA Colors lip liner pencil in the shade Natural is fantastic. It's a really good texture. Like, I would take this over e.l.f. Cream Glide any day. It's not as moisturizing, and that's a good thing because it adheres to the lips better and lasts longer. And this particular one called Natural can work with so many of your different looks. It reminds you of Revlon Color Stay Lip Liner in Nude with its kind of deepened nude tone, but you can fill in your whole lips with this and you're gonna have color on those lips all day. It's not gonna wear as completely evenly as like a liquid lipstick. It's not like totally unbreakable, but it will really extend the wear of your entire lip combo for sure. So there's Natural, put on all over. Then if we're talking lipstick, you're loaded with options from this LA Colors range. It's called the Long Wearing Satin Lipstick, and they're smooth and creamy and richly pigmented. And I've talked about this color called Melted Nude. It says there on the sticker so much, but they've got several good ones. There's Rosewood, there's more berry options, more pinky options. I would say if you're really trying to build your collection based on the recommendations of this video, get yourself several of these, that lip liner and the gloss I'm going to mention, which is going to be clear, and you're going to be set on like different lip looks you can have, but with the base products that can work with anything, that liner and this gloss coming up. But this is Melted Nude. I adore this shade. It plays so well with that lip liner. It's like the lip liner color intensified a little bit, a little deeper. Creamy, feels great. Absolutely love. Wet n Wild has some really affordable lipsticks too, but just the shade range in this LA Colors stuff is really, really good. And then they've got this Glossy Lips clear gloss. I recently tried this. It's going to squeeze out through a puffy tip. There's a good thickness to this gloss. It's not sticky and annoying, but it's not going to make your lip combo just start sliding around. So I like it for that reason. And then, like I said, it's just clear, so it can play well with whatever lipstick or lipsticks you choose. And at $1.28 on the lipsticks, you might feel like, well, maybe I could try several. I'm always willing to lean into that brownish neutral lip, and Melted Nude really gives me that. But having this lip liner and this gloss, it's like just fill in the blank with the lipstick of your choice. And you've got a beautiful, like in total under $5 lip combo. Yes, I love that. So as I group stuff back into my bag here, I'm super pleased with this look. Like, I can't get over the way my skin looks with these products on, where nothing was anything super fancy. I'm gonna add a little more mellow wine here from Wet n Wild. I loved a comment I recently received where they said sometimes when she first puts the blush on, it looks a little strong, but then by the end of the video, it all makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, because the eye and the lip are such a big factor on the face for creating balance. So when the blush and the blush alone goes on, I can see how you'd be like, okay, that's really popping off there, Em. But once eye and lip come together, everything has a chance to be harmonious. But you just gotta trust the process, as they say. But there's my finished look, friends, and I couldn't be more pleased with what I have come out with here. Like, a great everyday face. Again, I stress this was not an experiment. I chose things that were actually the best under $5, and some of these products, as you saw, I've been very attached to for quite some time, like years and years, and I'm just super pleased with what I came up with. So what I would love to know in the comments section is, what are some under $5 favorites that you have? Do you have any tried and true things that you've like repurchased or really, really love that fall under that price? Or is it really worth it for you to stay above $5 for certain things? Let me know. My memory card just at the tail end has to be unloaded. But thank you guys so much for taking time to watch. I'm grateful for you all, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.